Yeah, I'm kind of just holding it with my hand, a human tripod, but
Do you have like even a cup that you can lean this up against?
it's a good point. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, dear. This whole thing's a wonderful experiment, so it takes moment by moment to put it all together. You're all doing great.
All right.
And then Nathan, if you can kind of keep it more to the front of the table there, you might be able to make the screen even bigger for us.
Something like
You're gonna have to, yep, tilt it just a little bit more.
this.
Yeah, are you able to tilt it just a little bit more up?
Like oh
Not that much.
yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Trying to get there we go.
That's good. And I do not have Bryant Dromey's email, but if you would like, I could go ahead and shoot the presentation over to you if I can get that email.
The presentation over to me, they said.
To Bryant Dromey?
I got his email. I sent
Okay.
him. You want his email?
If that's how you want to approach it, if that's okay with him, or if he's okay with this video, it's up to him. So
Is that still a good angle?
can you tilt it a little bit more, or are you losing friction?
Like that right there?
That should work overall.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're doing great. This is all trial and error. This is the whole point of these meetings is to refine what we're doing, and you're doing great. So thank you so much for taking on this task. Robert, why don't you go ahead and kick me that email? That way, Dromey has it regardless, and he can either follow along here or whatever he likes.
I can give it to you real quick.
Okay.
It's B Dromey. It's my first initial last name.
Okay.
At Tricore, and that's TRICORECRE.com.
All right. I will send that over to you right now.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for this to spin. The ladies have to win. It shows up in the wherever. Yo, that's. Hey, you ought to have to slice it with this morning.
I can hear Scotty.
Hey, listen, he saved us in Miami. We're lost. Trying to get out of Miami. Yeah, from security. Contract. Okay. Which one is that? TSA. This TSA girl's walking around. I want to see. Next she's right there going over and asking. Well, I guess he thought that was the grandson. And I said, you tell her how to get to yeah, she said, come on.
I guess I'm gonna take notes on my phone.
Something Allie made sent up.
So I don't know.
He's not in the jungle.
You're so funny. I always laugh when we're on We're not called.
Eating donuts.
If you'd like me to move the camera around, let me know.
You're doing great right now. I'm not sure that there's anything we need to visually see, but if Dromy, you're the new one on the Zoom chat here, so if you have any requests, please feel free to speak up, okay?
Yeah.
I'm all good.
Wonderful.
This in a room, sir, we can do it.
Yeah,
I thought this was okay,
Guys.
but no, you know, O-ring and you get just customer, it has to be that size.
That's right.
The funniest thing was.
Dawson didn't even know they had it. She just went off.
Because you know.
Trying to say, hey, don't know where she ever heard it.
And I'll never
She
get
had
the
her
right one,
headphones in.
but it don't have it.
Oh, man.
Yes,
All over.
exactly. Right.
Oh, yeah. All
I got
right.
tired of trying to find a match. I bought an assortment pack about
Right.
it's got all sizes.
Yeah, yes. Well, my other business is industrial hardware. And so I go to trucking and airline and stuff and sell them all the stuff they need, for maintenance.
Right.
So it's a lot of interest, it's a lot.
Hey, Nathan?
Yeah.
Since we didn't actually record the previous of you walking around, if they're not actually ready to kick off, it wouldn't hurt to get a room view of everything. If they are ready to kick off, don't worry about it, but just putting it out there.
Oh, I don't.
Do sure to Jennifer real quick.
Okay. All right. But wants to do some. Okay, hold on. Hold on 1 second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh,
Should it?
This is what we're here for, man. I mean, you get a seat.
Yeah.
All right, bro, thank you.
All right. I appreciate it. All right.
Hey, ma'am, I want to introduce you to Jennifer Deaton real quick. How you doing?
Wonderful.
Good. Here she is.
Oh, we said hi, how are you? But now I get
That's
to.
good.
Nice to meet you.
Hold on 1 second.
It's wonderful to meet you. I'm not actually seeing you. I think the camera's turned around the other way. Thank you. That's better.
Okay, I'll go to the light. So there's not light behind me.
I
So
have heard, yeah.
heard a little bit about you, but where are you located?
Right now I'm in Mexico. I'll be back in Belize within the next 2 weeks.
That's exciting. Oh my,
Yeah,
so are
we
you
love
working or what are you doing?
So we are an independent humanitarian volunteer group. We're just a family, but we have a worldwide consultation team of different professionals who are doctors and handymen and you name it. We have people from all over and we just show up into these communities, these remote jungle villages, and we say, how can we help? So we do everything, but mostly I deal with pain and injuries.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. I'm
Thank you.
excited to meet you when you get back.
I can't wait to actually get to meet you. It's going to be great.
Super cool. I know we're getting started here soon, but thank you so much. And thanks for telling me about it because I'm excited to hear.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying that. I didn't say anything.
I'm only
Thank you.
32. Don't let the gray hair.
Mr. Thomas, now check.
All right. Is there anyone else? Anyone that anyone would like to speak to or anything like that?
I think we're good. If you wanted to tilt your camera up and just do a slow pan of the room, that would be lovely for our recording. It's something I can use later.
We're gonna go over here in a presentation here today. Just, this problem just. I've been doing this all around.
That's it.
Wonderful. You can take your seat then. Thank you so much, Nathan.
See something that was also right here on this farm.
Yeah.
I think you'll see what we're talking about. We're not. Wow.
Oh my gosh. That's
Small group.
All right. Is that good? Or
Yep. That looks great.
okay.
Yeah.
Ready, Doc? Dr. Brown,
What they don't find on top, they dig up out of the ground.
ready? You gonna do the slide? You gonna do it from there?
I've seen a couple of but not.
So, would you like to say? All right, we're ready.
Am am I in front of the camera? Am I in the way when I sit down?
No, everything's zoomed in.
Okay.
Real quick, just some administrative things. If you need to go to the restroom, it's right down this way, that door to the left. Water fountain, it's got water, it's coffee here. We'll be serving lunch up, shortly. Welcome to New Water. I'm Robert, and I have more to say later, I think. But glad you guys are here. It's an exciting day, so appreciate you coming out. I'll turn it over to Scott.
All right. Yeah, I want to welcome everyone here this morning. I'm Scotty Mangrum. I'm with Agri-Harvest Solutions. We are working hand in hand with New Water, also with nanotechnology out of Fort Walton, Florida. And what we're doing today is we're introducing a system, several products that we have tested. Robert's done extensive testing of these products here at the farm, and we're seeing some great results with this. And we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. We're going to go through the presentation, and then we'll break for lunch, and then we'll go over a little bit more after that, and then we'll have Q&A. So we'll start out. The agri-harvest system is what we're calling this, working with farmers and growers for healthier crops and more plentiful yields. We'll move on down. I'm Scotty Mangum, fifth generation farmer. My father taught me row crop farming when I was a kid. I was raised in it. We have a new system of farming that we're attempting to implement here. Less tillage, less erosion problems, things like that. This system allows us to do that. Agri-Harvest Solutions is operated by farmers, growers, and business people invested in the health and well-being of the agricultural industry in the United States. We're here today to share with you a system that we've developed that brings better balance to whole operations and improves your bottom line as a farmer or a grower. After experiencing all these challenges firsthand, let's do this. See a need, fill a need. From firsthand experience, we have witnessed farmers struggle with these things. And if anybody's ever grown anything, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a giant farmer. If you ever tried to grow tomato plants or pepper plants in the backyard, you understand this. Everyone deals with these problems: nutrient density, insects, bacteria, moles, regulations, eradication, and weather events. After experiencing all these challenges firsthand, we have established a team of people passionate about developing solutions with the dedication of people like Tom Strickland, Robert Brandon. We've been developing an approach that can help us shape our goal of sharing our system with the world. You're here today because you felt the pain of being a modern day farmer, or you're very interested in some of these products that we have and learning more about them. If you're a farmer and your crops have suffered from too few nutrients, too many insects, bacteria, moles, all of the EPA regulations that come with being a farmer these days, eradications, and we'll get into that in just a little while about the eradication stuff. Too little rain, too much sun, everything that goes with it. With all the knowns and unknowns of farming, we believe focusing on the health of the plants will solve the majority of these concerns. Next slide, please, sir. Our theory is a happier farm, healthier yields, developing a 360-degree approach that better supports the wellness of American farmers and their produce. After extensive research and putting the minds of many experienced farmers together, we began mixing three products. Next slide. We mixed Plentiful Harvest, NutriPlant 643, and I believe the deer repellent is Liquid Fence. Liquid Fence. Plentiful Harvest, which is created with magnesium hydroxide nanoplatelets. NutriPlant 643, which is a low analysis liquid supplement fertilizer with added micronutrients, and the deer repellent create a protective barrier around the plants. Robert will get into that this mixture much more deeply than I'm going to. I'm just touching on all this stuff. But I want to go, let's see, next slide, sir. The benefits we've seen have been less bugs, less bacteria, mold, higher yields, more resilient to heat, drought, and overwatering, and more supple plants that enjoy a stronger immunity to pests and diseases. I'm going to show you guys an example of, go back up. Oh, there we go. So this is the amazing part of this. This is sunflowers. These are black oil sunflowers that we tested on at our farm, Oak Hill Farms, which Robert and I are also involved in it. These plants are exactly the same age, exactly the same age. These were treated as seed, and these were just field planted. We raised these in a container, but other than just being brought out of the ground in a container and transplanted, it's the only difference. These were field planted. These seeds were not treated. These were exactly the same day they were planted in the field and in the pots for transplant. If you'll notice, you can see here, these plants are at about 14 to 15 inches tall. And this is in their natural growth cycle, which is 60 to 90 days on these sunflowers. So we were at that midpoint of growth here, while our test plants were at full height for the black oil sunflowers, which is 27 to 28, 30 inches tall. And as you can see, we already have a full bloom here. And we tested against 57 different cut flower varieties. We had the same results throughout. I could just show you slide after slide of this, but when you look at this, you think these were planted at different times, but I need to emphasize these plants were planted at the same time. And this was just using the magnesium. We did not have the 643 at this point when I tested this. But I wanted you guys to see this because this is a tremendous difference in these plants. With these growth patterns, we could almost get 2 crops of sunflowers out of this in the growth season here in Alabama, which is unheard of. Now, black oil sunflower is what you use for your sunflower oils, things like that. It's a huge commodity. And I wanted everyone to see that, what we can do with these plants. We've learned that by starting them off in a pre-soak of the magnesium, our germination times are cut almost in half. All of our treated plants germinated and sprouted before any of these even cracked the surface. We already had plants that were a couple of inches tall by the time these guys even came up. Now, that's the difference. In soil temperatures were the same, so none of that had any effect on this. But this is a great example of what this product, our product, I say our product, one of our products does. The cool thing is it did it with zinnias. It did it with most of the cut flowers that we tested with. Now let me move into vegetables. Vegetables, it does the same thing with. We'll get into that in some of our pictures that we're going to show later. But yield increases. So if we're doubling the yield on the sunflowers, then or the ability to grow 2 crops of sunflowers in one season, that's unheard of. And I'm not saying it can do that. I'm saying it looks like it can. I've not done it. We've not tested that. But from what our test, I mean, if you'll look, these are buds from this mature sunflower. So they're all getting ready to bud out and flower. So, you know, the drying times are what's going to make the difference there. Here, these plants are about 45 days old. So we were what, two-thirds of the way through the growth cycle by the time we're going to do some questions here in just a minute. I want to go and get this lit. I've got a presentation from Allie, who is working on our team. Go ahead and bring that up. And she is going to, she's in the jungle and there's, she's in a little village in the jungle in Mexico. Boy, she swings a broad sword all over the world here. You can hear the roosters crowing.
Scotty, she's listening.
I'm not. You can hear the roosters crowing in her video, but just adds to it. Go ahead, Robert.
Good day, everyone. I'm Ellen Jones. My family and I operate an independent volunteer group that we call the Enduring Empathy Project. Basically, we ask, how can we help, to anyone who shows up with a concern, a question, or a challenge. While much of our time is focused in Central America, where we travel between jungle villages, supporting people in pain with pain and injuries, we have also had hundreds of conversations with farmers around the world about everything from their health issues to difficulties with their farm. Almost every farmer I've spoken to has an overlap of the same troubles. Their expenses of both time and money are high. Their revenue comes under various and sometimes unknown threats, and the wellness of their plants needs nearly constant attention. Many farmers have heard about the health concerns directly associated with what they spray on their crops, but without a clear path forward, they will repeatedly use those products until they find a better way. They will prioritize buying these products only because it's a system that they recognize and they know how to use, even if it doesn't support the majority of their long-term goals. Because farmers have to do whatever it takes to keep their yields consistent so they can accommodate their expenses throughout the seasons, and because they usually have sunk a lot of time and money on equipment and materials, making changes to their setup feels like an overwhelming challenge to many. My job has been to help them find a better way forward with a do what you can with what you have where you are perspective. And I try to step into their shoes and recognize the lived experiences of their day-to-day life. We focus on natural and locally available materials to replenish and stabilize the soil and form solutions based on what individual farmers have tangible access to. We create customized approaches that help develop better balance in their farming practices. When I learned about the 3-product system that this network is currently experimenting with, it piqued my interest, primarily because it is by farmers for farmers. It is addressing the needs of the soil and the plants and encouraging better immunity for the entire farm. And it can be fine-tuned to address unique challenges instead of pursuing outright eradication, which tends to be more expensive and causes a lot more problems. And it fits into my desire to support the wellness of farmers, families, and communities by offering practical guides for farming in a more responsible and plentiful manner without disrupting their routines or needing new equipment. Your farm is a complex and alive piece of the planet. It doesn't only bear your name, it bears the results of generations of farming activity, often where only one type of crop was present at a time. This form of farming is referred to as monoculture farming. And while it has been the backbone of America's farming industry, it's causing a lot of challenges for the farmers who use it and for the environment around them. Because this type of farming depletes nutrients from the soil, we've done crop rotations, sprayed fertilizers and nutrients, we've met swarms of pests and imbalances, and primarily all of this is because we just don't have the biological components to help keep those factors in check. Through my research, I've discovered that plants which have a regular source of nutrients have a healthier immune system. Much like humans, having their health needs met is equal to having stronger health. With good health, these plants are capable of living more harmoniously and responding to biological threats in effective ways that keep these threats in greater balance. These plants also produce higher yields and healthier, more nutritious produce. So the question for me becomes, how do we create healthier farms while still utilizing systems that farmers understand, which are convenient, accessible, and will not only ultimately save them money, but will minimize their need for endless products and expenses or unhealthy temporary solutions? I believe this network is addressing this question head on. Utilizing the current practices most farms in America are already accustomed to, the agri-harvest system harnesses the immense benefits of magnesium hydroxide in nanoplatelet form, alongside NutriPlant 643 and deer repellent. It supplies a robust 360-degree support system to your plants. This setup aims to create better balance in your plants and soil. It allows for the use of your current equipment and protocols and decreases the need for harmful additives while increasing the 360-degree health of your pots, fields, and orchards. While we won't make promises that you'll never again have troubles, we do believe that by engaging with our network and utilizing these methods, you'll see a dramatic increase in the health, wellness, and yield of your plants. And we've got scientific results alongside actual real-life field studies to support this belief. The people here at New Water Farms are just one of many locations that have been testing this system. I'd like you to hear a bit from the people who manage their crops and develop their farming practices. They'll tell you what they've done in the past, how they've been supported and challenged by their old practices, and how the agri-harvest system is changing the lives of their plants and their produce.
Right. So I think that Allie answered a question that someone might have of what we're really trying to do here. What we're trying to do is change these farming practices, try to save our soil, because we really don't have good soil here in this country anymore, and we have become less of a farming country and more dependent on, I would say, imports for food and agriculture. That's a serious thing when you're at war. Possibility we could be going there. We need a way to not only be able to use the same land we have and get more from that same piece of earth, but also we need to be able to protect our plants, our food from these harmful bacteria. I'll give you a term. Agri-terrorism is a real term. I don't know if you guys, any of you know, a few months ago, there was some Chinese students that were arrested for trying to bring a fungus into the country and release it. And we know that our product, the magnesium side of this product, will protect. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how that works here after a while. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Robert, and I'm going to let him go ahead with his part of this presentation.
Yeah, I think this works. Yeah, I'm Robert Brandon, New Water Farms. Hey, we started in 2011 here after the tornadoes as a missionary training center, and had the idea that if we established a farm, we could pay our bills with farming activity. And so, you know, that's kind of a nice idea, but in reality, it's pretty tough. But it's in a lot of that. What we ended up doing was making it part of the landscape. So this is an event center, and we say that we host events to cultivate spiritual growth and renewal. So we're a faith-based nonprofit. So we have weddings, we have a church that meets here, we host conferences that are Christian in nature, leadership conferences, church retreats, corporate retreats. It's kind of all over the place. And mostly what we do is we provide the space. So we provided the space for this group to meet a couple of times a month. That's kind of what we do here. But in all that, I was at the time HR director in a medical practice and volunteered here. I'd come down for the weekend and had my list of 20 things I was going to get accomplished, and left home maybe with one and felt defeated. But in 2023, I resigned as an HR director because I hated it, and came down here and joined the staff full time as the agricultural director. So the interesting part of that is a little personal side was my degrees are in agricultural engineering. I wanted to be a college professor, do research at the collegiate level way back in the day. Ended up going to seminary, did vocational ministry, and my ag engineering part was mostly in the soil mechanics, modeling side, and then my PhD work was in robotics and automated steering tractor vehicles. Big ag, I mean, was kind of where it was at. Our group, our computer vision group, did things like spatial farming, and it was pre-GPS. So, you know, we had 30-foot resolutions. We thought we were hot stuff. So, it was still a lot of mechanically based. And then when the GPS resolution got down, it totally obviously changed farming. And now we're seeing things like, you know, cars that drive themselves. That was kind of Star Wars of ag back in the 90s. So that's where my roots were. I did not grow up in a farm. I grew up in a farming community, but we just loved being outside. And I actually went to college, started as a forestry major because I liked being outside. And then I realized you know, it's gonna be a tough road to follow, but in 2023, I came down here as the director of agricultural operations, and we have about 4.5 acres of production here on the farm. And it's basically small plot. Somebody would say it's kind of a hobby farm, and really it kind of is, after being here for a couple of years every day. But we were off the rails in what we're doing. We had worked with a former state extension specialist who told us what to do, how to plant it, how to take care of it. And A, it wasn't being taken care of. B, we weren't following what he said to follow, even, you know, it was a different kind of model. So we spent the last 2 years just getting things back on track. I think she's got a bunch of slides here that, you know, kind of float through here. This is kind of where we are today. We've moved from a conventional ag model to more of a regenerative conservation agriculture. In all of our vegetable production, we do regenerative agriculture, no-till, cover crops, plant diversity, living root in the ground throughout the year. No synthetic inputs. That's fertilizers, spray, fungicides, all the ides. We don't do anything synthetic based. And obviously with the things that Scotty brought up, we're seeing the results of those here. You know, slow changes, but very positive results. We grow blackberries, blueberries, Asian persimmons, figs, muscadines, and pears. And we did have an apple block. We took that out because it got oak root rot fungus, and all the people said, you got to get rid of it because you can destroy everything you got on your property. So we did that. That's before I knew Tom and Scotty. Might have done a different route. But anyway, we convert those products to jams and jellies, and we sell those to the place part of the light bill here. Kind of in that little quick story about where we are. Just me personally, my old neighbor before we moved down here from Birmingham sent me a text. Said, hey, you got to watch this Joe Rogan podcast interviewing Will Harris from White Oak Pastures in Georgia. I thought, okay, who's this guy? And if you don't know him, he's quite the colorful character. He wrote a book called A Bold Return to Giving a Damn. And he was a 5th generation commercial cattle farmer in Georgia. And his epiphany came when he said, I woke up and realized every day I was waking up, the question, what am I going to kill today? Is it a cow? Is it a fungus? Is it a weed? You know, is it a bug? And he said, I'm a farmer. I should be promoting life. And he had this life-changing moment. This is 25, 30 years ago. So he took his farm. They had 3 employees, Forest County in Georgia, transitioned over this amount of time to a regenerative approach where it's working with nature, not trying to conquer Mother Nature. And they now have 180 employees. There's only 200 people in town. And they're a multi-billion-dollar operation shipping beef and food products all over the contiguous United States. And that's just 25 years. At previously 5 generations. But some other things I learned after, and I was hooked. I'm like, man, this is so cool. And first of all, he's a cultural person down at the University of Georgia, you know, just has that good old Southern drawl. But he really made sense. And he didn't just challenge the ag practice, he challenged the system. What are we doing? This is not sustainable. I used to duck hunt in the Mississippi Delta, and they are heavily chemical based. And now you see just vacant land, it's not producing. And even the flyways moving, I'm thinking, what am I eating here? But then I began a lot of books, David Montgomery, What Your Food Ate, John Kemp and Advancing Ego Ag. I started just consuming myself with regenerative ag practices, and it made sense. What Allie said, it's addressing the system, working with the system to have things in balance. So we've made that transition here over the last 2 years that we want all of our vegetables now are with regenerative practice. We're slowly moving these other crops forward because what we were doing really wasn't working. We were putting synthetic fertilizers down, all our IPM costs, all these crazy sprays that I'm realizing, you know, Scotty goes, you know, that's toxic, right? And, you know, I'm like, I'm not spraying that stuff. And we're going to figure out how to get these things back in balance. So we really have started to look at our soil health. We're doing Haney tests on our soils now. We've increased our organic matter in vegetable gardens to 5%, which is huge, which means 5% organic matter can take a 5-inch rainfall, which is over 100,000 gallons of water in an acre. We're here on the lake. What we've seen here, we're sitting on the ridge here, and all the great soils out there in water because it's eroded over time. So we're saving our soil. The global average is a 0.3% soil loss every year. You get 0.3% ain't much. Well, David Montgomery says, 10 years, you got 3%. A generation, you're looking at inches and inches. And in his book, he narrates these great soil losses. And we're just destroying our soil. I mean, Africa, the deserts are there because they destroyed the topsoil with conventional ag practices. So we've made the switch here. And then it really, really became apparent this past summer. So I mentioned blackberries and blueberries. There are two staple fruiting crops. They are the #1 sellers for our jams. We have an acre and a third of blackberries, Kiowa strain blackberries. We trellis those out of Arkansas, and it's a lot of maintenance. And the first year, you know, you have two canes come up, and so that fruiting cane, you train it along the wire, you suppress the promocane coming on. We use a system called T-post, trellis production utilizing promocane suppression. So to keep those next year growth down, let the energy go to the fruit. 2 years ago, we had about 1,800 pounds of blackberries. Sounds like a lot. It really ought to be about 3,000. So we're struggling. Our largest block produced less than 15% of the total volume. Our smallest block produced 55% of our volume. And we were doing the same thing in root. Synthetic fertilizer down. We weren't spraying anymore because we used trap crops. We were injecting fields in our blackberries and into roses, which was, we stumbled upon that by accident. We might spray a fungicide if it really got bad. Last year, yellow rust hit us. It was like overnight. And they're spores. They travel by air. They travel by contact. And our plants everywhere were just covered. And what it does, it doesn't really necessarily kill the plant. It just nosedives the health. We had a 35% volume drop from our already way under 1,800. We only harvested about 1,250 pounds of blackberries last year. And that drop came, and then within 2 weeks, it just nosedived. We had vines actually dying, shriveled up fruit, and that yellow rust kicked our butts. And it was depressing because I had spent a whole year loving those plants, training them there. I was in the plot every day. I knew them intimately. And so you know what loss is like. Loss is painful. I mean, and that's about the time. I think that's it. That's long and short, probably. That's when I met Scotty and Tom, and they came and said, "Here's what you need to do. We need you to introduce us to magnesium hydroxide." And so we took the floor canes out, promocanes were coming up. We began a program we did the soil drench at a high percentage, 4,000 parts per million, and then I've been foliar spraying the magnesium hydroxide.
Go back to one that showed the plants. From that. You gotta understand this rust he's talking about. We've got some pictures on here. It's back.
Here we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so the picture on the left, that's last summer. That's the yellow rust, and you can see what it did to that plant. And then now we're treating, we do regular foliar spray with the 3 products. Our #1 pester used to be the geese because they would eat all our stuff. Now it's the deer, and they just, you know, they're nocturnal, and they just come through, and it's like a buffet, like today's lunch, and they would mosey through the blackberries and they would strip the ends of all the shoots, even if it was on the wire, they would strip them down. So it just would tank our production. And so I was doing a foliar spray with magnesium hydroxide because they've had success with a similar issue in Florida with strawberries. And I said, I'm willing to try anything except spraying, you know, copper. I don't want to spray copper anymore. And then I met Buck, and he said, I've got this other product called 643, which works great with the magnesium because the nitrogen in the soil doesn't affect the pH that makes the magnesium ineffective. And then I said, the deer issue, we tried the hockey pucks that are filled with hog's blood. We tried to put an electric fence up, and they just laugh at that. And they can take a little jolt to go through very lunch, but that. And then, you know, the funny thing is, you know, guys use cow urine. That's a great talent. So I was telling somebody, I'm old now, so I weed on my hands and knees because I have to keep getting up and down, up and down. And one morning I was out there weeding the blackberries, and I'm going, God, it smells like coyotes out here. And I look up, and you know, they've roamed through here and they eat all of everything. I look at the deer stripped all the blackberry vines. I don't think they're scared of the coyotes. That ain't- And so we now do this product out of Tractor Supply. And I'm gonna try this liquid fence, and gosh, it smells horrible. Do not spray it around your house. It's like rotten garlic, but it is effective out here. And I use a low dose, and I do foliar spray. So we are able to spray the magnesium hydroxide, the 6.3, and the deer repellent all in one pass. And I can spray our whole 1/3 acres in less than an hour.
Oh, wow.
So it's not less, you know, time on the machinery, less impact on the property, and it's effective. Deer haven't touched the blackberries this spring. So, and they're lush and green. So you can see this is, this was taken last week. So here's the new canes coming up, and you can see the health of these leaves contrasted with here. And our plants are lush, dark green and really full. So they look skinny and puny out there now because we trimmed the bottom, everything off and let that energy go to the growth of the vine to get wire coverage. But that's kind of what we're doing here. And we're starting to measure, we've been measuring sugar contents in a lot of our produce. And then we'll start doing some nutrient density and some sap analysis in these next 6 months to see what really do we have in our plants. I will tell you that this past summer, we did a little vegetable stand out here in the corner. It was way more successful than we thought. I could keep up with demand. People want nutrient dense food that's local, that doesn't have a bunch of crap spraying on it.
Right.
And they're beginning to ask those questions. I mean, there's lots of media things out that say, hey, if you go to a farmer's market, ask these 10 questions of the farmer. So people are asking questions. I mean, and as you start to read things like David Montgomery with your Food Aid and John Kemp and all these guys leading this conservation movement, there's so, and you guys all know that there's so much information that's suppressed that people don't know about. And then big money, big ag farmer, they're paying to keep that stuff suppressed. And we're paying the price for our health with that. And I am a firm believer in these natural organic products that make our food healthy. Because as Scotty said, we got to get back to making our soil healthy. And we say here, happy soil makes happy plants, makes happy fruit, makes happy people. And I'm a firm believer in that. So food is medicine, nutrient density, all those are topics that we're passionate about here and working hard to make sure it happens. And I will tell you this, it's actually made my life a lot easier. I don't fight the same battles that I've been fighting a couple years ago when I started here. It was hair on fire, never able to catch up. And now with this maintenance program, we have healthier plants, so we're not having to do a bunch of crazy waste of time stuff to happen. I think our yields are up in some of the things we've done already. And I think adding these other products, we're going to have a really, really great year for 2026. So I'm super excited about it. I hope that was enough rambling to tell you about what we do here.
It's good.
But I will tell you, the more conversations we have with folks, there's a lot of people. We had a little showed a documentary called Common Ground, which followed Kiss the Ground. If you watched any of that, we had 35 folks from the community come. It was a 45-minute documentary followed by an hour and a half questions about these kind of things we're talking about today. So people are really interested, and it's not just it's not a fad, but it is something that we really need to take seriously. And I think we need to steward this opportunity well to make a difference, you know, not just ourselves, but the generations following. So I appreciate you guys coming out today. And I think that's all I can say right now. People ask me, hey, can you give a tour? I said, you want the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the 8 hour version? But yeah, Dr. Tom.
Rob, you mentioned organic. We can't claim our product to being organic, but when you use it on yours, if you're not putting anything else on it that will negatively affect the organic claim, you make your product organic. And you use that product.
Right. And one thing about organic, I mean, it's like fair trade coffee. You can pay a certain amount of money and get that stamp.
Yeah.
And we're not interested in being certified organic. And we would say we do organic practices. We practice organically. And I can tell you why we do that. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. That's right. All right.
It seems like regenerative is a better focus anyway, because you're within that, you're doing more organic and you're actually worried about the health of the soil in the plant. So kind of like that word regenerative better.
Yeah, I could,
It's great.
yeah, you think regenerative is the restoration of that relationship.
Right.
We
Right.
take spiritual, humanly, ourselves and the earth.
Yep.
How
Yep.
it's all designed to be, so. But I'll tell you the other thing too, is it really makes you pay attention to details.
Mhm.
It's not a, that's all, I think Will Harris said it's so easy to reach that glyphosate cocktail. It's just, and you don't even think about it, just put it out. I think these things make you think a lot better. I think it's gonna make better farmers,
Mhm.
better
Mhm.
growers.
Good.
Have you dealt with army farms?
No, sir.
Let's move right quick. We'll get to all that. We can get to those questions here in just a little bit. Go to slide 14 for me. We were going to pause here, but I think we need to go ahead and we'll break for lunch and we'll call it at lunch and we can have that question answered. So, 14. There we go. All right. So how each helps empower plants and soil. All right. I'd like to share with you the claims at each product and also what results we've experienced when using these three products together. Primary function deliver of the the NutriPlant 643, magnesium hydroxide nanoparticles, and the deer repellent. Kind of self-explanatory. We'll run through it right quick. Primary function delivered balance, NPK nutrition for the steady growth. Provides high absorbable magnesium pH stabilization, protects plants from deer and rabbits. She's got this listed as root health, foliage growth, nutrient uptake, photosynthesis. And we can sit here and look at this and we can talk about that. We'll just move on to something. We're going to get into all that talking here in just a minute. Go on down to 16. All right, this is our results from Oak Hill Farms, which is our farm. These strawberries, I don't know if you guys see that or not. This was taken in July at 94 degrees when I took the picture. You see that right there? Now, I don't know if anybody understands what strawberries do, how they grow in Alabama. But in Alabama, they do not do that if they're untreated. We treated those, the magnesium hydroxide nanoplatelets. This is all prior to us joining with the NutriPlant. So what you're going to see on this series, on this one is just know that this doesn't have the NutriPlant on it. We were using a granular fertilizer here. This gets into what Robert was talking about. Okay, so a good question. What's the difference between NutriPlant 643 and any fertilizer on the market? All right. NutriPlant is a foliar applied fertilizer. As Robert stated a while ago, we can do one application of everything, which immediately cuts our labor to a third of what it would have been for 3 different applications. When you're talking about an acre or two, you're not talking about a lot, but when you're talking about 25, 30, 100 acres, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of diesel fuel for that tractor to run out there and spray 3 times. The reason I wanted to show this one is because of this. Strawberries are a cold weather plant. They're started now, and by the time spring rolls around, they're harvesting. By the time May rolls around, they're dead. These, as you can see, are pretty healthy. As a matter of fact, this is the mother plant that created that one. It ran a shoot over, it rooted in, we had a new plant. Here's the amazing thing. This heat, this was not treated. The offspring of it, or the clone of it, was not treated. It picked up from the mother plant the ability to be heat resistant from the mother. So that's incredible. Go to the next one right quick, Rob. These were bell peppers that we field tested. This was grown in the field. And these are the ones that we grew in our pot using our magnesium. Now, everybody see that spot right there?
Mm-hmm.
We planted 50 bell pepper plants in the field. The most we could get from yield on these was about 25% because we lost most of them due to this right here. Now you see how mature that pepper is? And then all of a sudden that spot comes up on it. We're not sure where that spot came from. Tom and I discussed this extensively, and we did not send it to the plant pathology lab, which we probably should have, but we didn't because at the time we were testing all those seed flowers and things like that.
Did you cut it open?
We did.
Did you cut it open and see it came from the inside or out?
It was on the inside.
Coming from the front?
So we know that most people who grow bell pepper or tomatoes suffer from these spots that show up. What I wanted to show here was these are the bell pepper. This is our bell pepper plant that was treated. Now, these guys are the same age, the difference here is this plant produced about 15 bell peppers. All of those ground planted, untreated, just regular fertilization practices, regular farming practices produced about 10 to 15 bell peppers per plant. And then we lost, 2/3 of them because of this. There was nothing we could put on them other than a fungicide, or these are all high dollar products that we did not want. We didn't apply because you would have had to do this. You would have had to apply this if this was your bell peppers. You'd had to go somewhere and get something to put on that, or you're going to lose every one of them. And it'll kill the plants too. Where ours that were treated with the magnesium, this particular plant right here, I believe this, had 325 bell peppers come from it. So go one more for me, Mom. All right. Now this ought to speak for itself. You see that color on that plant, on that bell pepper right there? How dark it is? That's a natural. It is so big and so just vibrant that, look, 7.81 grams versus 3.87. This is treated versus untreated. That speaks for itself to me. Now, will every bell pepper on that plant do that? No. Bell peppers have bloom clusters. And here's another thing we've learned. On our bloom clusters, typically on a bell pepper, we'll get 3 blooms per cluster. We may get 1 fruit, possibly 2 from that bloom cluster. With these bell peppers that are treated, we're getting 7 to 10 blooms per cluster. That's why we're seeing these massive yield increases. One more, Robert. Roma tomatoes. Which one's treated, which one's not? These are all the same age. They came out of the greenhouse here at this facility. They're both planted at the same time. One treated, one not. We put them together so we can take this picture. You can see here the difference in the growth of this plant. We're at about 25 inches here. We're already at 32 inches. Keep rolling. Check that out. That's a better boy. This little fella right here is about that tall, and you can see how tall this pepper plant is, how long this tomato plant is, how large it is. Now, we had picked it, so you don't see, you can look down in there and see some more stuff, but we had actually pruned her up, and this is a regrowth that we had after we pruned it up and got everything up off the ground. We did one more treatment with the magnesium and fertilizer, and this is what we wound up with one more time. This is what I want everybody to see. This is what sold it to my young friend, Nick, back there. That is the same pepper plant. You see this? This guy's dead. That little fog you see was me watering it when I took the picture. This is 20 days later, the same plant. Look there. We pulled all the dead fruit off of it. These leaves did not drop. Now, you would think you'd have leaf drop with that much drought damage. I think I went three or 4 days without watering this plant. It was blooming. It was in full production at that point, and I tried to kill it with no water. I had it 4 days, and then I started watering it again. 20 days later, this is what we had. Now, I didn't take a picture of it yesterday, but it is full of white blooms right now. So this is what I wanted everyone to kind of see. What this magnesium does is it allows these plants to have a certain drought tolerance that we don't see in any other product. No other product can make that claim. And I mean, there it is, right there. That's the exact same plant. 20 days later, we've even got pepper on it that survived that. These bell peppers I did not pick. The only thing I picked up was a more mature stuff. Left the small ones, and here they are again. Now, that speaks volumes right there for what the magnesium will do. I want to get into this before we go any further, and we'll break for lunch and we'll go into our questions. This system works because the liquid fertilizer, the foliar applied fertilizer 643, when it mixes with the magnesium nanoplatelets, which that's a whole other presentation. We won't get into that, but you guys are welcome to talk to us about it. It actually bonds to that platelet. So we're holding that fertilizer longer because our magnesium will not leach out of the ground. Monolayer bonding this to each other. And so our magnesium will only deplete in a low pH environment. It's the only way, and it will not leach out of the soil. So it bonds to the roots, it sticks to the roots, and it has the fertilizer bonded to it and the deer repellent bonded to it. And it makes it stay longer. So we have longevity on what fertilizer we're giving. And we're not burning these plants up with a 643. I mean, that's a very low dose of fertilizer right there. What's doing it is the platelets are allowing that plant to be protected, first of all, from any bugs or any funguses, any bacteria, anything like that are going to attack it, whether it be soil-borne or airborne. And I mean, you can see this pepper has nothing on it. These pepper plants don't. And we have no spots. This late in the year, they ought to just be falling apart. Instead, this guy's wanting to keep growing. We don't have any spots on our leaves. We don't see that leaf spot. We don't see that anthracnose that tends to want to get on them this time of year, and earlier into this time of year. This plant would keep growing. If we keep fertilizing it, it would get huge. We'd probably I would say it'd get 4 foot tall. Wouldn't you? Yours were. So, I mean, we're talking a massive amount of yield increase for the same little spot of ground. That makes such a difference. The combination of the fertilizer with the magnesium nanoplatelets, you know, he's right with the deer. I mean, we put up electric fences. We fight those deer constantly. They'll come in and wipe us out. Robert and I had to harvest corn. We had to beat the deer to the corn to get to harvest because it's just impossible to spray it. But I just wanted everybody to understand what these two products do together. They create a growing system that I've never been familiar with. I've never seen anything like this. When I was introduced to this magnesium by Tom, and Tom is also a 5th generation farmer. He cattle farmed, I think you had 500 head of cows at one point. He row crop. He's done it all. He's done extensive testing in agriculture with the magnesium. Our testing took the magnesium, joined it up with this fertilizer, and we brought that into what we're trying to present right now. Tom can answer any questions you guys have on the magnesium. I can answer them. We're also, need to say this, we are pushing into the cannabis industry. It's a whole different ball game. We're pushing the magnesium in, and we're trying to take the fertilizer with them. Those guys are kind of finicky about what they use, but a low NPK like what this is with foliar, we think we might be able to get it in there. We don't know yet. We just got to talk to them and see. They need to see some results, and then we'll have their ear a little bit. We got one for you ready to go. There we go. Well, that's 5. So we're lining them up. I think if you'll go back to the lunch thing, we'll just go ahead and break. We'll break right here. This will be it. I think we're going to take everybody on a little tour of the farm right here. Is that right, Robert? Y'all wanna go lunch before we eat, or before, y'all wanna do a tour before we eat, or do you wanna eat? Tour?
Whatever.
Eat first.
Eat first.
There you go. We'll eat first, then we'll go walk it off. All right, guys.
That's
You have
good.
any
Just
questions you
walk
wanna
out.
mingle with us and talk to us about, feel free.
Well, that's really. So, you don't know this. Part of the reason I was trying to come here is we were trying to talk about. And one of the things. I wanted to and really talk to people about having.
You still there?
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing good. I don't really know what to do at this point, but
This is exciting.
In the past, when they've broken for lunch, they have just called us back in. Why don't you ask Bill and Scotty what they would like to do in this case?
okay.
Thank you.
It's okay, we got it. That makes a difference. Do I need to charge it?
What I was going to ask was for a break, just shut it off, or
Let me go get the charger.
Okay.
We can do that, but just leave it, I guess, leave it running so they'll know when they come back in. You need to talk to them.
yeah, I talked to them and they said that usually they turn it off and then restart it whenever they come back.
Whatever they say. is what
Okay.
you do. Now get the charger.
Does that work for you, Dromy?
I'll hear about it if you don't.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
So in the past and we're still fine tuning how this all runs, but in the past when they have broken for lunch, everybody on the Zoom call has just gotten off the Zoom call and then they call us back in about a half hour and we start up again, so that we don't have to sit here and watch them eat. It's your call if you want to stay on the Zoom call or if you just want to be called back.
Yeah, I don't really want to watch everybody eat, so I can call back or get back on the call.
All right, they will hit you back with a new Zoom link when or whatever we got to do at that point, but we'll let you know when it's time to come back in.
So that old Zoom won't work again.
Actually, it will as long as Mackie keeps this link open, I believe.
Okay. Well,
I'll talk with
if it doesn't work, I'll just troubleshoot, try to get a new link or something like that.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Nathan. You can go ahead and log off.
See you in a little bit.
So
It's going.
step into a tank, we're combining them together. So that rate is what? You remember, I think it's up this presentation.
I know the beer time, I usually do about 4 ounces. And I'll do it takes me 15 gallons to spray a third, an acre and a third of my blackberries foliar spray, and I need like 4 ounces in beer. I don't go by the bottle, if it's like for the whole thing, it's like.
Okay, 4 ounces. Okay, so it's like,
Like 4 ounces, 3 ounces per acre. The
15 gallons.
And then
Or a third of it.
I know on the 643 for that foliar spray, I'm doing an ounce and a half per gallon. I think it's turned off. And then, but it depends on the magnesium, what the application is specific, application specific.
I just wondered what the cost would be to treat an acre of corn, you know, spray an acre of corn.
Well, that's a great question.
That's what farmers want to know, cost per acre.
I don't have that, I don't have the information on the fertilizer in front of me, so I won't know. I mean, I can get it for you, be glad to
I
get
just
you
want
that.
to know what, you know, cost per acre would be.
So,
I can speak to that, or Buck could probably speak to that.
Allie's got a comment.
go ahead, Alan.
Based on what Robert Brandon had said in the past about using about 2 gallons of the NutriPlant, is that where you're still at per acre?
Can you hear?
2 gallons per acre, is what you said.
Is that-
Repeat, Allie.
I believe that's what Robert Brandon had said in the past, was that he was doing, he averaged, or he thought it was going to be about 2 gallons per acre. And the product NutriPlant is sold in a 2.5 gallon product. The product, I think, is $337 for the. You can talk to Buck about that. He's right there, but that's what that would average out to for just the NutriPlant.
Plant's $300 for 2 gallons. And you're using what, maybe 10 ounces?
Yeah, probably 10 ounces max.
Yeah.
It's more like 8 ounces a gallon, 8 ounces per acre.
Yeah, so with that, we're gonna mix in the magnesium at a rate of,
Yeah, it depends, I mean,
plant wise.
but I'm currently doing 1,200 parts per million. Let's just call it acre blackberries, and I think I use I'm at 6 ounces. Hold on a second. It's 6 ounces for 15 gallons and diluted down.
So there you
6
go.
ounces of the magnesium, 8 ounces of the NutriPlant, and 4 ounces of deer pellet for about an acre of foliar application of blackberry. But it would be a spray over the acre.
And that's a foliar application on that. The only thing that you would do different is that, when you go in there for your first, instead of putting fertilizer under it, you go in and once it germinates, then you would do a treatment. The fertilizer soil treatment with fertilizer and magnesium.
You know, usually fertilize corn 3 times. When you plant it, when it gets knee high, and when it starts developing the ear, you hit it again with nitrogen. So you talking about, would you use this spray 3 times?
It's Tom. Can I get you in on this? He's got a question on.
On corn?
Yes.
Usually we fertilize corn 3 times. When you plant it, it gets knee high, and when it starts developing the ear, you get nitrogen up there. That's what we do. How are we gonna use this right here on that corn?
Do you irrigate it or do you just let the Lord water it?
Well, we use irrigation and spray.
Irrigation, you put it in the irrigation system and put it out with the irrigation water. That's the easy part. If you don't let the Lord water it and you get the water, fine. If you don't get the water, you got to put it out anyway, because you got to do your part to see that if it does get the water. In 50 years that I've been farming, and corn was one of my major crops. I had a total disaster every 5 years. You could figure on it, and you come out pretty close to being correct. And I use let the Lord water it. So with putting it out like that, you got to side dress it. You side dress it until the corn is too high that you can't run your high board over it. If you're gonna do your nitrogen, it's the same way, unless you're gonna put it out by April. Am I right?
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I said, if you're gonna irrigate it, then you put it in the irrigation system.
Okay, the fertilizer is 100% soluble. That 643.
Yes, it is.
Like Peter's 2020.
That's right, just like Miracle Grow.
Okay,
So this is a liquid form, it's not on a powder.
okay.
Magnesium is not soluble. It will not dissolve unless you get it into a low pH atmosphere, whether it be in the dirt or whether it be in what you're putting out. And most likely your fertilizers are all a neutral 7 on your pH. Our product is a 9.5 to 11. It quickly goes to the neutral, whether it's bringing your pH in your soil down. If it's bringing your pH in your soil up, it will go from a 9 to 11 to 3 if your soil needs to be picked, same as lime. And it'll pick your soil up to a neutral area, where it'll be 6 to 7. When you put it out with whether you put it out with your tractor from the tank,
Yeah, I put it out, when I plant, I use a hopper.
side dressing.
Yeah.
But you putting out granulate,
That's right.
this granulate,
That's what I'm talking about.
then
But this system, we don't use granulated.
Okay, well, I have an irrigation system too, you know.
well, I think and say if you didn't use a hopper, but you use a front tank to, when you're rolling, you're putting out this stuff as well as your granulated fertilizer. That's what I do. Anything granulated, I put it in the hopper. Anything that I'm putting out wet, I put it on the tank, either on the side or in the front, correct?
Yeah.
All right. You got it, you already got it whipped, but you got an irrigation system. You just add it into the water.
Yeah. Well, I have a sprayer, you know, I have a tractor sprayer too, you know, spray it out.
Yeah, but if you got a side dress, is what we call it, correct? Then you put it out with your side dress. You side dressing you don't have to do, like Robert was saying.
Yeah.
He don't do more than one trip across the field just because you got 3 items he wants to put out.
So you're not using any commercial fertilizer, you're using straight, what the 6-4-3?
That's commercial fertilizer, bro. It is a commercial. It's just a foliar applied fertilizer versus a granite.
Now, if you're gonna put out the liquid, the granulated fertilizer, then you're either gonna have to make another trip through the field and put this in a tank, like you were saying, you side dressing with whatever.
Now, you haven't used this on your corn?
No, I haven't used, got any.
Yeah, we use it on corn.
You put out 3 times?
No, sir.
Just one time?
Twice. We put that twice on corn.
Okay, that's what you're doing right here.
What I did.
Okay.
Test. So we're in the testing process on corn. Because corn is one of those commodities that's way down on. Start getting into cost variables and things like that, when we start doing 1,000 acres of corn.
Yeah.
All right, so, that's why our target is smaller farms like yours, farms like this. We're not ready to go to those gigantic 1,000-acre farms and things like that, put on corn. What I did was, I think I showed you the videos of them. I planted the corn and I let the corn come up. And then, when it got about maybe 2.5, 3 inches tall, I went through and I had it in my tank. I mixed everything into my tank, fertilizer and our magnesium. And I did a drench with it, just a quick drench, not like I'm sitting here putting calculating amount on it. But I went through and made sure that I sprayed it at the bottom of the plant. The root system on a 3-inch tall plant is maybe that long.
Yeah.
So I'm getting it there and I don't have to put a lot in there. I went through and sprayed it that way. That gave it that initial dose that it needs to come on up. The corn came up just fine with no granular fertilizer under it. Then I went back right before it tasseled, right as it was tasseling, and I hit it again with the fertilizer and the magnesium mixture. And I had about 3 years per stalk. That corn is, in fact, still in the field right now.
What kind of corn do you use?
It was a dent corn, a yellow dent.
Truckers or?
I know it was a dent corn, yellow dent.
Okay.
We planted red dent corn and yellow dent corn. And I tested on the yellow dent.
On the sweet corn that I had tried it in for 3 years in a row, normally you see in the grocery stores and there, yay big, these are astronomical. It's beyond belief unless you see it, or what it will do to corn. Now, as Scotty said, to do the big fields of corn, it's gonna take a lot of volume. And we're not into the volume of doing cotton or corn. Cotton, what it does on a field test is you just have to see it to believe it. The stalks are bigger, twice as bigger, and the buds on the stalk, the bolls on the stalk are twice as much. It's just on the cotton. But the cotton, you don't have to eat it. They wear clothes and stuff like this, so they give you a little bit of leeway. FDA and EPA does, and they're killing the soil and killing the stuff that runs into in the branches and the streams and stuff. But it's still, they're approved to put the poisons on it, such as Timmy. And you know what Timmy does?
Yeah, Timmy, yeah.
Timmy has a chain reaction to whatever it kills. If it kills a bird or kills an animal, whatever comes to eat that animal's gonna kill it too, and on and on. But what they got on cotton, we don't fool with cotton right now, but I know what it do for cotton. The volume that we use is the same thing we use in such as cannabis, but you don't put out with cotton but twice to make before it gets up. Put it out the same time you fertilize it, and then you come back and you side dress it one time with it. Now you can put it out with airplane to foliage spray with cotton. This I did do, and it's still done good on cotton. The corn, same thing. When you start hitting massive fields, you're using a whole lot of product. We're gonna have to be able to produce a lot of product, get the cost down for a lot of our vegetables and a lot of our commodities that we use as far as wheat, rice, corn, and this type of commodities to make it feasible for us to make money, and yet still don't have an end use of it to where the price goes up so much like beef does. You have to be rich now to eat beef. But we don't want to be that way when we eat bread. Or we'd love to get the Roundup off of it, but I don't think we will. I'd love to get it to counteract the Roundup, but I have questions on it. And we are studying this in the lab to see what it will do to the paraquats and all the quats that you see on the chemicals that's being used on corn and other stuff. So, and I use it. I use that word quat because it's, what is it, half a dozen? Dr. Rob, on the corn, the quats, what I say quat, there's a whole lot of them listed in it that's going in on the Roundup type chemicals, not just Roundup. I think we can counteract a lot of what is being put on our vegetables. And I'm getting the result from Robert, and he don't know it. Is it when he puts it in the ground, he inoculates his soil. We're protecting those roots. And we're protecting those roots also from the chemical that had been put on it by him or whoever had this property before.
We have a pretty good, not to say this, 3 months. We spray them like that. Really? You spray the water? We used to spray around.
So what we were asking,
Well, research says it's airborne.
what we are after is testing. We got one country that we're testing with, about to test with, that the word back to us was that this country is such a dire need for this to be eradicated that the country may be able to help us with the massive amount of product that we're going to have to sell to these type people. And it's going to be a massive amount. We just done it, just a quick, very good, a quick overall what agriculture is costing the market per $15 trillion.
Well, the 15 trillion global market for agriculture.
Well, like we were saying, we did 1% of that, $1.5 trillion, just at 1%. That's going to take a lot of product that we can make. Right now, with making it, you start doubling our production, would take us about a year to make 10 times more than we're making now. Give us that 1 year. Next
we drop off, we'll probably do 6 months. I say that, but it may be less than that. After we drop that second one out, then it's gonna be a third and a fourth and a fifth machine that comes out that we can do with every 3 months, every 2 months. If we're making 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 at a time, then we can put that in the system, in our infrastructure to make more products as demand picks up. If we know what we're doing, and if we have the beautiful results that Robert has given us, then we have something to take to the people that are losing, such as one company that's got a $24 billion is what it's worth, just on one product that they're doing with this company. $15 billion a year. Am I quoting it right? That's correct, sir. And they're losing 30 to 40% of their product every year. On the same thing that we just hip Robert. One of them, they got 2 or 3 more bacteria that they didn't mention that Robert's not checking for. But it's a bacteria is a bacteria. And the many bacteria that we have tested in our lab and through third party, we eradicated within 2 minutes. So we don't know if there's a bacteria out there we can't kill. A virus is a little different. A virus, we have to use maybe an essential additive, maybe, and we use a little bit more concentration.
Yeah, don't have viral problems on my corn.
Well, no, you don't. But there are people that have viruses in their agricultural businesses. And the viruses that we go after, we eradicate. And I say this as an advertisement, not today. But I use Skin So Soft at home when I'm in the yard at daylight or at red at dusk. And I like it because it makes my skin feel good.
Yeah.
You know, I put it on to keep the mosquitoes off.
That's what red bugs do. We use it in the army.
Me
when I was
too.
in service.
Me too. I coat down my boots and my shoes and a tick won't crawl up on it. The same way it is with us. We eradicate the viruses, but we put it on this plant as a nutrient supplement. This we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Now the benefit is we know what you got, you told us. We know what we can do. We tested it. It's not a guesswork. We know what we can do. I knew when I looked at Robert's blackberries and the county agent was stomping their foot saying, you gotta pull these up and you gotta burn them. You gotta get rid of this and you shut your farm down for 3 years.
Good, Christ.
I knew she was wrong. He or she, whoever it was. Just like I did in Florida with a strawberry farm. Told them the same thing. You gotta dig up your whole strawberries and burn them. Because you had a infectious rust that was going to cover everybody's growing operations farming area in that area. Don't eradicate it. Don't kill everything they got. So get rid of it. When his daddy, he stopped over with us and he talked to me about it. And I stopped by there and looked at it. And I didn't see a problem that we couldn't eradicate. One treatment on the strawberry. Got rid of it. And I don't think the county agent comes back because he didn't listen to her. He didn't want to lose the strawberry. He had almost 4 months in the road.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Robert didn't want to lose the blackberry. And I knew he wouldn't lose the blackberry. If he would treat his blueberries and persimmons and his lettuce, he won't be that high that he got seven. And they'll run out of seed before you can eat them. But when we treat this stuff as a test, we're doing this to gather the information we need in our library so that if you come to us and say, I want to test three things. I want to test the first to get rid of this one. I want to see if I can get rid of this other one. And then I want to get rid of the bad one. If we may not be able to tell you who done it and what was used, but if you tell us what you're doing, and we've already tested it, and we got NDAs with Robert, and Robert said, don't tell nobody what he's doing.
I might say, well, you can eliminate your first test, but we know what's gonna happen. Go ahead and go to your second. Or we say, eliminate the first two, because we've already got tests to show that we can get rid of these. The second question you asked is, well, do you have a paper that says? I said, well, I may do, but I'm under NDA and I can't tell you this. But if you do this, even if you buy it from us to test it, if it don't get rid of it, I give you your money back. That's as good a guarantee as I can give you.
Yeah, that's good.
But I'm only gonna let you test 10 of your plants. I can afford this. And I can give you what you need to do this with, whether it be soil or whether it be foliar spray or both, to get rid of your plant. Then you see, and it ain't gonna take you the full growing cycle, whether it be inside or out. You're gonna see the difference, just like Robert did. And you're gonna know what it is. And then you may come back to me and say, Mr. Tommy, I need enough to do my whole 2 acres or my whole 10 acres or my 100 acres of crop. Because I got a lot of money tied up in it. And I've been where that is. I know what it is to live. We can say, all right, we're gonna do this because you're a first adopter to the corn. We will give you a break on this one. And we will break even with it. We won't make anything, but we won't lose anything. In the next year, not only are we gonna eradicate your problem, but if we do it in time, your yield is gonna pay for whatever you spent for it. And next year, your soil is gonna be built up some from what it was the year before. And your yield on next year is gonna be better than it was this year. This is what, for the last 8 years, I'm not guessing at this. This is stuff that I have proven in my home at and other growers have proved it. With incorporating Scotty into this and training him to use the product. I don't have to be up there doing that. He did.
That's right.
I got a question about the fertilizer.
Go ahead.
You're providing that, right?
Yeah, here's my expert over here, by the way, but go ahead, I'll pretend I'm.
Okay. Now, what's the base product of the fertilizer?
Yeah, it's all that way.
Yeah.
It's happen for it. We get
Is it
everything.
a petroleum-based product or is it a natural gas-based product or what? What do you?
Well, nitrogen is a not natural gas product.
It is a nitrogen, that's right.
But the other two should be some type of phosphorus form or potash form, either one. And it shouldn't be petroleum.
Now, this your plant right here. Is this the fertilizer product or this is
Our fertilizer.
fertilizer? Okay.
It is natural and it's got potash in it. I know that. The direct question you asked is not something I know the immediate answer to for that phrasing, but I do know that the entire product is natural and that they, well, yeah, that sheet that they've handed you right there should give you the ingredient breakdown.
I would be shocked if you proprietary means and proprietary ingredients listed.
Yes, it's gotta have a, like petroleum is usually the base product of fertilizer. Just like petroleum product, natural gas or something like that.
Natural gas and the nitrogen, yeah, but
Yeah.
petroleum is not phosphorus.
No,
And-
that's nitrogen comes from natural gas. So.
Yes, and your potash is not petroleum,
Yes, it's from Russia.
not
I say
necessarily.
about 60% of the fertilizer in the world.
It could be, but potash, your phosphorus, even in Florida, that's what's contaminating Lake Okeechobee. From the 3 mines at the head of that's one of the things, Big Sugar's gonna be incorporated. But the 3 phosphorus mines in the head of Lake Okeechobee is what's causing the problem in Lake Okeechobee as far as the algae. So it's coming out the ground. So I don't think it's petroleum. I don't think it's petroleum.
Some fertilizer made from mold.
They're making organic claim.
So I just looked up the answer about the NutriPlant, and it is 100% organic. It's not rooted in petroleum or the natural gas derivative. It's entirely derived from plants.
100% organic, that nitrogen does not come from petroleum.
Okay. Wow, where does it come from?
Well,
There's an ingredient list on this on the NutriPlant. I know I sent that to Buck before, and I'm pretty sure it lists out what it derives each of the nutrients from. I'll see if I can pull it up myself too.
It's all,
that's a good question, though. Because we're also talking about.
Everybody understands, you said that you have been doing the treatments. When you do the initial drench and so on, that takes more, and then you've been cutting down how much you've been each time, and you haven't
That's
seen
just
any
the
reduction.
magnesium. I did a 4,000 parts per million for the drench. 8 ounces at each base of each plant. And then for 2 weeks, I did a 4,000 parts per million foliar spray on the leaves. And then 45 bags per month, and then down, after that, about 1,200 parts per million. So,
Okay, so you cut it down twice, and you don't see any difference in the output.
it's all.
You think that's gonna continue? You think you can continue to cut it down and still get the same outcome, or what do you think is gonna happen?
We'll go to maybe like every week.
Okay. You've gone from 4,000 parts per million to 2,500 to 1,200.
Once you eradicate, once you inoculate the soil,
Right.
you did it twice, Robert.
Only that one soil drench.
4,000.
I just want to make sure I understand everything, so as I'm preparing materials for the actual. Now, coming back to yours, can you go back to the sunflower plant? Because you said
Go back to sunflower plant.
you said some things when you went over the sunflower. I want to make sure I understood that. Because you said a mouthful.
Well, I'm talking.
That's okay. I'm a great listener. I know what I'm listening to. Let's go.
Get the kids back to school.
Yes, sir. I definitely will. I got it off my resume. Awesome.
Go back.
Okay, so the outcomes here, what is the height of the control?
So the controls at, we'll just call it 15 inches for.
15 inches, okay. The
20.
8.5.
Something at 27 and a half.
almost twice.
Same age plant.
Now, you use words that I'm not familiar with because I'm not a farmer, but you talked about the fruits. You talk about the buds, the fruits, the seeds, right? Okay, so go through that one more time. What the control?
So what we did was we treated the seed from seed to finished harvest. We treated it with magnesium.
Okay,
All right. This is our control that was not good.
okay,
This is the results we get from, we got from that.
okay. So you said over here you had,
Standard.
not the fruit, what comes before the fruit? Bud?
Wow.
The plot is, so how many flowers were in the control?
Now that I did not, I don't have that information. with
You
me.
got to see them here, so they come on.
If they're, these have not even come on here yet.
Zero.
So with a sunflower, you get one flower.
One flower.
Each one of those creates that.
Maybe
You might get another one that comes off here, might, with our, we did notice that we had a couple that we got 2 flowers on,
Okay.
so there was a mixture of it.
What about that cluster in the middle of this, in the middle, are you treated? You treat
Here,
treated
the tree,
right there,
that's a bloom.
just one.
Yes, so that's bloom right there. I think there's
So
another
the bloom
here.
and the flower are the same thing, or the bloom come before the flower?
The bloom,
It's flower.
Okay, the bloom.
this bud becomes, same thing, okay. This bud becomes the flower.
Okay. Come the flower. Right now, the flower itself, did the flower itself have more seeds?
No, it had the same amount of seed.
Same seed.
But you can get 2 crops instead of one.
You can get potentially 2 crops. Sunflowers, that's asking a lot of sunflowers.
Well, it seems like you're saying two things. It seems like you're saying you can get 2 times the flowers. And you can get an extra harvest. You can get 2 harvests instead of 1.
Possibly. A year like this, absolutely, I believe we could.
Okay.
On a year where you have a fall that comes in and turns cold, you won't lose flowers.
Okay.
So we're fighting the weather there.
Okay. Let's go to the peppers real quick.
Go ahead. Can you pull that to the pepper?
I never grown sunflower. Gotta go there 60 days from June.
So these are 60 to 90 days.
60 to 90.
Yes.
So you still got 6 months in it. If you don't get a freeze when you first risk the first plant, you still can get, you could 2 rows out of it.
You could. It's the drying process for harvest that you gotta watch out. So, because they tend to stay pretty good. Sunflowers hold for a long time. That's why they make good cut flowers, because they hold for a long time. Which one on the pepper? This one?
Okay, so in the control,
Yeah, 3.
you got 3.
Mm-hmm. Go back to that.
Okay.
Go back to the other one.
One more.
Come on back.
There.
you go.
I'm looking at 5.
That's 5 right there, you can see.
One under his hand, your hand.
Yeah, this, you got here, these, there's another one on the other side that I didn't get a picture of. I was just trying to show what that blend was.
So you got twice as many fruit,
Yeah, so what this is it's, the fruit comes from the bloom cluster.
right?
So typically on peppers, you'll get 3 blooms. Tomatoes are the same way. You get 3 blooms, possibly 4 in a bloom cluster. That's where your fruit comes from. So if you get 4, let's just say you get 4 blooms, maybe you're gonna have possibly 2 fruit, more like 1 that comes from.
Gotcha.
The other blooms just go away. What we see is, so look, that's a bloom right there. You see that brand new bloom right there? Amongst all those mature plants. So that tells you, if I plant a pepper plant in the field, they all bloom at the same time, they all produce at the same time. What we've got here, we have multiple stages of development of this fruit. Because we've got a baby right there. These would never bloom again. They just won't. You know, agriculture professors will tell you that a pepper plant only produces 10 to 15 peppers. We had 325 off of this one pepper plant right here.
325.
Look, you gotta understand something. We're harvesting twice a week off this plant. So what I showed here was just what we had ready to pick that day.
Right.
So next week, we got another 5, 10 coming off of it. So it's plant. They're just putting up.
And then you said that
our plants are, 3.5 feet tall and this big around. Where a normal pepper plant ground's about that tall. They never get maturity on a pepper plant, 2 feet the most. Foot across it, putting out about 10 peppers.
And that's not the only.
And you did a comparison of the volume as well, I think you said. What was the volume comparison?
Go to this now. This I didn't go too extremes here. Can we go to that other slide of the this? Talking about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was an untreated. I'm sorry, this was treated, this was the untreated. You'll notice that color. So I left that pepper on there maximum. I didn't pull that pepper. A lot of times you can harvest these peppers and they're smaller. Because you'll want to, you tend to want to pull them, because you get one about this size, and they're like, oh yeah, come on, man. So, but I left these, then what we wound up with was the size difference. And if you'll notice the color difference, if you looked at it, it had a little bit of darkness in it, like it was wanting to turn purple. And that's just from how long I left it on there. It would eventually turn red if I'd have left it there the whole time. So this is probably the maximum amount of growth that we were going to get out of this pepper, because it was starting to turn on us, so it was through growth. But that's why I left it. So we had a 7.81 versus 3.87 off of the same.
7.81 grams versus 3.87.
Yes.
And almost 50%.
This is not just a fluke on this pepper.
It's not.
Well, the first test that I did on strawberry. But on a normal strawberry that's in food, the blooms on it is about from 10 to 15. And that's pretty close to all it's gonna put on.
Yeah.
Now, when you treat it, we got from 30 to 50 blooms on the same bush. The
That's
size
that
of
yield
the strawberry,
increase that we're seeing. There's a reason for that.
and I looked through the field, and that's, and me and my wife went through the pig. The biggest
Oh, that's a
one.
strawberry?
That's a
Yeah.
strawberry.
that's
Yeah,
strawberry.
I
Look
thought it
how
was a
big.
tomato.
You
I thought it was a pepper.
No, you think that would be,
I didn't even put that in this presentation.
you think that this strawberry being big would be pretty paper. That is the juiciest thing you put in your mouth.
So that was-
When they're sitting at the table, you need to have 2 or 3 in a jar, in a bowl for each person.
Yeah. Because the taste of it's much different. What you buy in a store, what we get out of this product is just incredible. Now, I did do this year testing with Nutri-Plant on strawberries. It worked wonderful. So the combination worked great on the strawberry.
So you get an added game with the Nutri-Plant added.
Yes, it did.
Guy, did you check like the untreated and treated fruit? Once you pick them to see if it's along the shelf life?
I did not.
Yes.
Because at that point, my wife said, I want to eat
I
that.
would eat it. So the flavor, so the
I would say
flavor.
it's a ton of difference.
Yeah.
I think Barry, again, on it the last time, Rob, those bell peppers that you served, were they treated? Some of them were, okay. So.
There were some pretty flavorful ones though,
There
whatever.
you go.
Yeah,
Side by side taste test. Totally
I said, I haven't eaten a pepper that tasted like a pepper and I don't know how long.
different. Because they're eating all those chemicals.
But yeah, exactly.
Strawberry grower in Florida. And this is the comparison to the pepper. He had his field split in 2 halves. We treated 1 half and we didn't treat the east side, but we treated the west side. And it's a come and pick type of, he did pick them and put them on the market then, but he had too many. You come and pick them. We picked some and carried them home. My wife loved strawberries anyway. And on the way, we stopped by Publix and picked up some that they had. I put them on trays open in the refrigerator outside. And those strawberries, it took her 3 weeks to eat them all. Publix, they started rotting them in 3 or 4 days. But those lasted the full 3 weeks, and she eat every one of them. And me coming back and forth to Florida, home, I stopped by and picked a basket full and take home, and they would last 3 weeks now. If we left some in for 5 weeks, they would still be as good as they were. The difference in the taste is, and I was picking with it does have a different sweet taste, but I was picking with the grower. And I eat one of the treated ones and I eat one of the ones that wasn't treated. Then I went back to the treated one. I said, there's something missing about this treated strawberry. I said, there's some taste that ain't like the treated. I said, oh, I ain't tasting the DDT and the round.
Right.
He said, Mr. Tommy, you're killing me.
You don't have the bitterness.
That's right. You don't have the aftertaste.
Right.
Like a strawberry got a twang to it. And I don't think Robert's gonna get an aftertaste on the berries. I think.
Oh.
Yeah, we're hoping to move the sugar content of those berries up, make them sweeter. We're seeing those results. We will get a higher sugar content when we treat, versus, normal. What were you at this year?
My blood sugar is 8%, it's the same as strawberry.
Wow.
Blueberry is about 14%, lots of time, it's about 8%. I didn't mention the some this year, the berries are around 26%.
So we're increasing the taste of this stuff by increasing the sugar.
There's a thing on your fruits, you get it to 12% or above, and the distillers are really good.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because of the sugar content.
Okay.
It opens up a market that wasn't even there for a farm.
Like-
Even cantaloupe. And Scotty would have said, this one is this too, that
the difference of the taste is just uncomparable.
It
Yeah.
is.
Plus the yield. is
Yeah,
almost
we were
100%.
getting 4 cantaloupes per vine and were treated, but we were only getting 2. We never get the 2. Every, most of the time, we get 2 cantaloupes, that's about right.
I had this professional check with Agri Technologies in North Carolina with the cantaloupes and the green beans and the peppers and tomatoes and some squash. I did not get a truthful result. But I paid for a truthful result. And it cost me making money to get this done. But the company is owned by Brent. Brent Enterprises. And he's a multi-billionaire. And I didn't push it. But when you look at the pictures in the presentation, because I asked his name was Scott Worthington, and I said, the untreated, it showed 2 plants per year. I said, is those normal, just 2? He said, yeah. Treated plants had 4 and 5 melons to the bush. And I said, did you just pick one that had that many on it? He said, no, every one of them got the same amount. But in his result that he gave me, he said 20% yield. Now, common sense and eyesight, and I'm not a mathematician, maybe this man is, but 2 against 5 is a little more than 20%. 3 weeks later, Brent Enterprises, the CEO of Brent, called me and said he didn't really want to buy the product, but he wanted to buy the company. Now, he was big in the Ukraine as farmer, and he still is. If he ever settle down, he's still over there. But he wanted it that country. But he didn't want to buy a product. And our company don't have an exit plan. We're not going to sell it. We want the common people to enjoy it as much as we do the billionaires.
I think another thing that's important to realize, this isn't like, I call it the secret sauce. Code name around the community here, so I'll come by, I'll bring you some secret sauce. I don't think we want to fall into the trap. This is the one thing, if you just do this, then this all this magic happens. That's kind of what I said, you gotta really pay attention to your overall soil health. So these plants are growing like crazy, but they're also needing to be fed. So I would think it's worth composting and, make sure you've got the right nutrients in your soil, to
So
work.
it's part of,
Yeah.
it can be part of your overall plan.
It's an extra layer of protection, but it's also a good soldier to have in your soil and to be putting it on your plants. Because as I said many times before, and I said it one time in this conversation, the bug that lays the egg for tomatoes, it lays the worm. This does not keep the bug off the plant. It does not have any effect to the pollinating insects. They're going to bloom just like me. And these predators that will kill that whole entire bush by eating it up. They don't want to put their reproductive valuable eggs on the plant. If you got a control plant 20 foot from it, they'll go around and eat it up. But they don't want to, for some reason or other, they don't want to reproduce or lay their.
They attack the weaker plant.
Right.
They don't get the help.
Yes. And Robert's gonna see the difference next year if he continues. This coming up growth will be his first hit. But as he's putting this in the soil, he's actually building the soil. And it don't go away unless the soil hits the down spiral and goes down to 2 or 3 on the pH level. It will start to degrade the platelet into an ion, which then will wash away, or grass or anything else, cover crop, anything else will put it up in it as an ion and deplete your sources in the soil. But if you continue putting it in it, you're gonna see a difference. 2 years from now, you're gonna have to do the same thing I did.
and cut your fertilizer down. Because you
Well, I
want,
thought you were gonna say retire.
God wants you to retire, you take a good But if you continue with this,
Yes.
you won't have no choice but to cut down on your fertilizer. Because you get a yellow type of nutrient deficient, but you also get a nitrogen poisoning in it if you continue to put the same amount. And you don't have to change your soil.
Actually, not a question, it's observation. I want Ally to hear what I'm saying. Important.
You there, Ellie?
Yep, sorry, I had to unmute myself. I'm here.
There's something I'm picking up that hasn't been said explicitly, but it's gonna give you an X factor in what you're doing, because what this really is stewardship. And from a spiritual standpoint, from a manifestation standpoint, when you are the proper steward, then your harvest is bountiful. And that needs to become part of the crusade that we're bringing to the globe, to the marketplace. I mean,
I agree.
this is a core level spiritual law that you can't change. I mean, even Christ gave you the example, you know, the 3 talents, okay? The one that was the steward, the one that went out and multiplied, he was blessed more than 10 times, okay? So I don't know if we can get to 10 times, but you know, we're talking 2, 3, 4 times in some cases. So it's something we need to expand upon and make part of what we're talking about.
I agree with that. I think that the more we band together as a community of people invested in farming, invested in healthier plants, invested in healthier produce, that we're going to achieve something great together. And that's why we're all here today.
Well, Ally, what I also see as far as our first focus is the regen community, the regenerative farming, the sustainable community. That I think is what the event needs to be targeted at exclusively to start with.
And I agree with that. What I have said, and I don't want to discredit anybody in this whatsoever, but I have worked with the permaculture industry for a very long time. And what I keep seeing is that they have a tendency, and not all of them, but they have a tendency to vilify large-scale farmers because large-scale farmers have bigger restrictions on the kind of changes they can make. And every permaculturist I work with is like, well, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. That's not realistic for most of the farmers that we are talking about. We need to work within their systems, as I mentioned in my video. And what I've loved about this is that in these conversations, we can approach those nuances. We can allow farmers to make the kinds of changes they need to make so that our produce is truly healthier, even though they're not surrounded like jungle like I am. You know, you guys don't have the foliage around you to pull these nutrients from. You've got to pull it from somewhere, and you've got to work with the systems that you have on hand. To me, these conversations are really where it's at in developing a system, and this system could grow much bigger than these 3 product suggestions and all of this. It's really just about a way of life and pulling farmers into it. So while I see the permaculture group as totally part of who we need to bring in, the regenerative community, we need to talk to them, I want to keep the conversation personally on the large scale people who are just trying to feed America something better than what they've been getting.
Say that last part.
I want to keep the conversation focused on helping large scale farmers feed America something better than what they've been getting.
I think that's step 2.
Okay.
I think we create a groundswell from the small farmers, because the small farmers are going to be much more impacted. They're going to be much more verbal about their results. And then that's going to spill into the other. Plus, we'll have more and more case studies, we'll have more and more white papers, we'll have more and more facts that the people that are running the big farms will see and have a higher level of trust and belief.
Absolutely. We're not here to exclude anybody. If you put your hands in the soil, you know what we're talking about when it comes to these kind of challenges, and the ultimate goals of what we're trying to achieve is something that's not going to put cancer in your family's bones.
Right. Gotcha.
Barry, you said there's 250,000 farms in America that are 10 acres or less.
249,000 is what I found, yeah.
What is it?
249,000.
I'll go for
Just rounded it.
Here's another point too. When you think about stewardship, everybody says it's taking care of what you have. A mess is easy to manage. Stewardship really is making it better. And that's the language that's being thrown around in the regenerative movement now. People like Cover Crop Company out of Nebraska. They do a lot of seminars. That's what they're promoting. We gotta make it better. It's not just
Think
take care
about
of
it this way too. When it comes to stewardship, you're also talking about getting the best result out of what you're doing. You're talking about, ultimately, I mean, we're talking grand scheme, ultimate outcome. You're talking about potentially doubling the global agricultural production. Okay, that either will feed people for half the price, that'll feed more people, that'll have a massive impact on the health, wellness, mindset of the entire world. When we actually accomplish that. And if we only accomplish 1% of it, 10% of it, we still impacted that part of the world.
So I wanted to use David's question a while ago as an example. David practices traditional farming. 100%. Break it. I don't even know if he uses cover crop. Break soil up, air it in, two bar, maybe you got to do plant it, which is exactly what I was taught how to do. That's how I was taught. How much Tom was taught how to do.
Chisel plow, I use the chisel plow. Same thing as breaking. But yes, you do the chisel plow because you put ruts or rows underneath it and the water hits this and it don't just run away. You flat break it, everything is flat on the bottom as it is on the top.
Yeah.
When you hit that, your water can run off. Chisel plowing does work better than even in traditional farming. It's still traditional farming.
So we've got that mindset that we are, we're all taught traditional farm practices. And part of this is not just offering products that can be used to get away from traditional farming, but also trying to teach people how to get away from traditional farming. If I don't know anything but how to traditionally farm, that's all I'm going to do. And and big farmers, this as well as anybody does this time. Big farmers listen to what the ag people tell them, and they put on what they tell them to put on. And they're subsidized out the wazoo by the government. It's such a, not just as simple as it sounds what we're talking about here. We're trying to change a mindset. So that's what I like about this. But we also have the commercial application side of this too. We didn't even touch on some of that stuff. I'll touch on it with you guys right now. Mr. Tom and I, thanks to Robert, he helped us out quite a bit. We are working with the tequila industry right now, currently, to take, it's almost a salvage. We're trying to save the blue agave, man, because we're trying to save it from going extinct. The country of Mexico is so concerned about it that they are worried that we're going to, that it's going to go extinct. Blue agave, Patron, that's all they use in their tequila is blue agave. And they have massive problems with it. That's who he was talking about, is losing 40%.
And Mescal.
Yeah,
Mescal too, yeah.
And they're concerned that they're going to lose blue agave forever, because what they've done is they've
incest.
They've used it as a mother plant too much. They've bred their genetics out of it. So the plants have no resistance to anything anymore. So and then they had an attack from a weevil.
Yes.
That got in, a borer weevil that gets in it right at the base of, I don't know if you guys know what blue agave looks like, but they're big cactuses. They're giant. They have long tentacles that come off of it.
With a cabbage head,
Yeah, with the cabbage head right in the middle. That cabbage head is what they use, but they grow new plants from everything they're taking off. And they go in there and shave them with these things they've used for hundreds of years to do it with. It's incredible how they do it. But what it is, that boring weevil gets in the bottom of it, and that big stalk, that big limb can't support it. It just collapses. The larvae eat the bottom of it, bam, there it goes. And they also lay an egg in them that causes, this is what's happening with citrus greening disease too, which is another thing that we're desperately looking at, which is, we've been working with Buck on some of that through some of his contacts. But, they're just caused by bugs. They have a lot of problems. And we think we can help them with it. I know we can help them with some of it.
We don't
because
kill the
root rot
bugs,
is one of
y'all.
their main problems, and we can definitely help them with root.
We don't kill the bugs, but we make it unattractive for the bugs to want to lay their larvae in it.
Right,
We want them to go somewhere else.
that's right.
What I've learned about what this system does is that because it brings a better biodiversity to not just the specific plants, but to the entire area, the entire crop, the entire farm, that these bugs are coming in and they're kept in.
Hold up.
That
Sorry.
doesn't, it's a very nice look. If you'll go back, we can show you how, so you look at those pepper plants, I'm showing you. Look at those leaves, there's no bug bites in those leaves. There's nothing on those leaves. They're green and gourd and beautiful looking leaves. Those bugs don't like that. They like that thing that's damaged and they know they can be protected. Their larvae can be protected over there because nothing's happening to that plant. These plants are too healthy for those bugs. They don't like them. So they do move on.
And to tell Robert, any of your tender leaf vegetables like he's talking about, that bugs eat the leaves, like your turnip, your kale, your cabbage, your collard. When you put that plant in the ground, you have to foliage spray it at that time. You put the magnesium on it, and you won't see the little holes that come in it. If you wait until it gets up a little bit, and then you put the magnesium on it, you will still have the little holes that come in there, but they won't eat big holes in your leaves. This tells, and over the years with the lettuce and with the tender turnips and the collards and this type of tender leaf, put it on them when you plant it. Put them in the roots when you plant, and don't put no 8 ounces on it. But you when you water it, put an ounce or 2 of water when you put it in. Let that be your magnesium at the level of 2,500 parts per million. I'm just grabbing that number to put it around the soil. Then you take your Windex bottle, you got some, and then you just squirt your leaves with the 1,200 parts per million, and you'll stop that mite not only from getting down into the crevice of where he lives at, whether it be a black or a white mite. He won't get down in there because you want that magnesium to go down there first. Now, if you do this, I think you're gonna enjoy the vegetables without, but those don't have no holes in them because I look. But you'll enjoy your vegetables without being eaten up by bugs. And the bugs will still be in your garden. They just don't want to get on that plant and stay.
I think Allie had something that she wants to say.
You're all clear. Ellie?
Yep. Okay. Sorry, I had to unmute again. Yeah, so through my research on that entire conversation, it was that the biome becomes so healthy, and I say biome, it's the whole area of the farm, not just the individual plant, not just the soil where you sprayed, but the whole area becomes so much more healthy that when these bugs do come in, they don't have incentive to overproduce. I'm working with a citrus greening guy down here and in Belize actually, and what I learned about their crops is that without all of these other nutrients in their soil, the bugs come down and they look for these little shoots that's where they want to lay their eggs. And these shoots are everywhere, but have no other nutrients fighting back to help keep the balance. When the balance is there, these bugs just don't have an incentive to over replicate. And it's not just bugs, it's also molds and bacterias. So it just kind of helps keep everything in greater check. My work tends to be that I put other plants down to achieve a lot of the nutrient density that I'm trying to help farmers get. But since you guys don't have that, spraying is the next best solution there. And you're getting the same results I'm getting. I'm lowering the insect rate, I'm lowering the mold rate, I'm lowering all kinds of different rates doing this stuff.
Thank you, Larry. That was better than what I put.
Thank you, Alex.
So anybody else got a question? Sorry.
I will not bore you with the question I bored Robert with, since he's got it for, soil fall data. But from the last time I was here, I'm gonna reiterate. But I think one of the things that's not spoken about, which would be a great small starter, is to get into selling this to landscape folks. There are people who weep and drop gobs of money when rust gets on their Leland cypress. You know the story. And until I talked to Tom Strickland earlier today, let's see whether, you know, it can be applied to the pine beetle. Can you imagine if that would discourage, you know, pine beetle infestation? But to me, the rust is, and man, once you get that community to see what it can do there, you ain't gonna get any better word of mouth than that community saying, whoa, look what it did.
That's what I was telling Tom about the small, you know, the hobby person that's growing it on her patio, that kind of thing. Very viral market, very viral market, sell it online and it's sell like hotcakes, go hyper viral.
So let me say this about what you just said. So we're about to do a full-scale test in Auburn on a yard, that we're working on landscape down there, and we've got some new nurture stock we're putting in, some stuff we're leaving. They had a lot of issues, a lot of root issues. We actually found, it was a root rot. It's a root rot that is no cure for right now. Once it gets in, it's not pythium, but it's I'll think of it in a minute. My brain's about dead. But anyway, we had to take some of their trees out, full grown. I mean, you know, not full grown, but 3 years planted, very mature. You know, 4-inch caliper trees were dying because of this. So we had to take some of them out, but we saved some. They got permission from them. We're going to treat their whole yard, and we're going to just do a time series of what it does to that landscape. Because that's what actually interested me to begin with in this product. Because my dad switched us over from row cropping to cattle and greenhouses, and we grew container ornamental. So when I first found out about this product and talked to the inventor of it and figured out what, I was like, man, this is great. This would work. This would be great in the container ornamental industry, which we've not gotten here yet. We did do some work with an annual grower, large scale annual grower, but they were just so embedded with their practice of the way they had the best recipe for the cake, and you know, they wouldn't give us a chance really. To the grower, I think, was a lot of our problem there. But anyway, we saw results, we see results, but for them, they just weren't interested at the time.
I want to go to a station break. I want you to take 1 minute, catch your breath, get a little bit of water if you need it.
Yes.
And I want you to call on Allie as you're walking away to get your water. I'm not selling snake oil on Allie's behalf. However, we have some damage control products today only. While we're here, my assistant back here, Nathan Johnson, may be here after the Greek and I leave, but I want to sell this, but at the same time, I really don't know what I'm selling. Allie, can you tell them what I'm selling for you?
So we actually used to have a business around this product, and right now we mostly get it by donation to villagers who need it for pain and injury support. But this product is called Damage Control Pain and Injury Support Lotion. It's an all-natural product. It's primarily derived with shea butter, cocoa butter, Colorado beeswax, and then it has a bunch of different plants in it that help support fibromyalgia, muscle pain, bone pain, arthritis, headaches, all kinds of things. So basically, if you have aches and pains of any kind, this is your best friend. And you only need a little bit of it. What he's holding in his hands is highly concentrated. We made it this way because we're giving this out to villagers who don't have funds, don't have a lot of means. And what we do is we suggest that they mix it 1 part of what he's holding in his hands to 4 parts of coconut oil. And that way you can stretch it longer and you can have it for a lot more time. You can use it just the way it is. It's highly concentrated. It's wonderful. Any aches and pains that you have within 10 to 15 minutes, most people are not feeling that pain nearly as badly as they were when they went in. And it's also great for wounds and things like that. I just recommend you don't put it on a fresh burn that's still hot. As long as the heat has gone away, it will help heal burns. It'll help heal all kinds of stuff.
And I'll throw this in, it will fix flat. No, I'm just kidding.
It's part of our humanitarian effort that we serve out in the world. We believe people need support with pain and injuries.
Roger that. So your commercial's almost over, Scotty. Yeah.
And they'll work from our sponsor.
Yeah, that's right.
So, when I leave with the Greek over here with John, we gotta go to the military academy, which I still call it that. And so we'll be leaving shortly, but I will leave the money and these with this gentleman right here. This is Nathan Johnson. He is our new videographer. He can fix a flat with the help of the Greek and other things. So whatever you need, whatever you want, whatever you can afford, we're all for it. So I'll shut up. Allie, any closing comments before we leave the commercial and go back to the main speaker?
Bless you, Bill. I just want to point out that the website that's on there is no longer active. As I said, this was an old business of ours. So if anybody has questions, you'll just need to reach out to me directly. And we just appreciate you. Any donations made help us continue our humanitarian efforts here on the ground. We're completely grassroots, so every bit of support we get keeps us going.
Thank you, Miss Allie.
Bless you all.
Okay. So does anybody else have any questions?
Donate, keep a little thing back here, or you can give it to Nathan, and Nathan, you will bring it back.
Yeah, you can trust me.
All right.
I'd like
We
to
don't
get
want- Go ahead.
Dr. Redden to mention, because you found the cost was good, but something you mentioned last time was when we say about them not spending money this time on all of a sudden. You mind doing a minute or two just on
Yeah,
What-
the
what's
next thing
Sean's
is
like?
before being able to do these things in one pass, whereas before, you know, I've taken 3 passes and making it into one now. Obviously, I'm saving, labor, fuel wear and tear, less compaction on my soils, is the big thing. One thing to remember, and I gotta work on this part in some discussion, but like, it says these are supplements, not replacements. But I argue that if you're feeding your soil health through compost and other regenerative practices, you don't need to dump a bunch of fertilizer. That soil's gonna be able to feed those plants. So I think for me right now, it's a tremendous time saving. And then also what Tom says, the preventative part. Yeah, the bugs are here, the deer are here, they're all here. They're not gonna attack my plant. So I'm building a shield, which will save lots of time, fatigue, mental anguish, I mean, all those things. I think not just producing a healthier plant, producing a healthier worker. That's how I see it. I mean, I'm early into it, so. You know, you can't quit. There's some things you can't quit doing because you're doing this. I can't quit weeding. Weeds are gonna go away. So, but it's staying on top of those things frees me up to do other things that much better. So I don't have a dollar figure on the savings, but I can tell you, this point where it was last year, it's a lot better place. For not just me, but for our operation.
One thing I have to say,
Profit, a little bit of profit on themselves.
one thing I want to say in closing. You know, here in Alabama, we practice forest management, just like the Native Americans do. We burn, you know, our forests, we try to, that helps our ecosystems. We have less danger of wildfire. California does not manage that. And they are, you know, when they catch on fire, they burn half the state of it. Now, what the difference is what I just said, it's the management side of it. When we start managing this better, we're going to see those results. We're not going to have a California wildfire. That's what this is. That rust that invaded him, the same one that invaded those strawberries, was a California wildfire through Robert Brandon, but he was about to lose his entire crop for 3 years. His income for 3 years. You are a numbers guy. You two, y'all know what that does to a farm. You can't replace that. You cannot do it. And because of what's in the soil, you can't replace back the next year. That's the point. So just like you mentioned with the ornamentals, this root issue that they're having in their yard, it's killing their trees from the inside. When that product gets taken up into that plant, it protects all. This thing is really, when you say shield, you really mean shield here. But that goes back to that management. We're not out here trying to suddenly, we don't have to throw every dime we have at this massive problem that's potentially going to wipe us out. when we have to go buy hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of chemicals to try to put on something to stop this problem we have. That's how it works in greenhouses. If they get a problem here in this greenhouse, 3 days from now, it's at the other end and they are in serious trouble because it's a closed environment. Same thing with this, transfer it through just touching. You know, you pick something up, you take to the next plant. You don't do proper, when you're pruning, you don't clean your pruners off and you move to the next plant. Well, everything you cut off of this, you just move it over here. You're just taking it right down the line. Same thing. We don't have that problem to begin with, and then suddenly we see something, but typically we don't see anything. Those peppers, I mean, these peppers have not had nothing on them but these products. So I guess that's what makes me such a believer in it. But we want to take you guys, we don't take any more y'all's time. You know, it's getting a little late. Robert, if you want to, you guys are welcome to go with Robert. He will show you the farm and what he's doing here, and then we'll just call it a day. What you guys think?
Yeah.
Was it informative for everybody?
That was really good. Yeah, very interesting.
Well, so if you want to go look at his blackberries and some other stuff, we'll go with Robert right now, and then we'll just call it. And I thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you. This is going great. Yeah.
She didn't want anybody. She didn't want you to put it in there.
Okay.
We still filming?
Well, there's Allie. Of course we're filming.
Hey there, Bill. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to relieve you,
Grab my hat.
but I guess you want me to. Nathan and I are in charge of your money and your product. So I don't know. We're going to be leaving here shortly.